The Missing Piece meets The Big O by Shel Silverstein. To Joan. The missing piece sat alone, waiting for someone to come along and take it somewhere. Some fit, but could not roll. Others could roll, but did not fit. One didn't know a thing about fitting, and another didn't know a thing about anything. One was too delicate. One put it on a pedestal and left it there. Some had too many pieces missing. Some had too many pieces, period. It learned to hide from the hungry ones. More came. Some looked too closely. Others rolled right by without noticing. It tried to make itself more attractive. It didn't help. It tried being flashy, but that just frightened away the shy ones. At last, one came along that fit just right. But all of a sudden, the missing piece began to grow and grow. I didn't know you were going to grow. I didn't know it either, said the missing piece. I'm looking for my missing piece, one that won't increase. And then, one day, one came along who looked different. What do you want of me? Asked the missing piece. Nothing. What do you need from me? Nothing. Who are you? Asked the missing piece. I am the Big O, said the Big O. I think you're the one that I've been waiting for, said the missing piece. Maybe I am your missing piece. But I am not missing a piece, said the Big O. There's no place you would fit. That's too bad, said the missing piece. I was hoping that perhaps I could roll with you. You cannot roll with me, said the Big O. But perhaps you can roll by yourself. By myself? A missing piece cannot roll by itself. Well, have you tried? Asked the Big O. But I have sharp corners, said the missing piece. I am not shaped for rolling. Corners wear off, said the Big O, and shapes change. Anyhow, I must say goodbye. Perhaps we will meet again. And away it rolled. The missing piece was alone again. For a long time, it just sat there. Then, slowly, it lifted itself up on one end and flopped over. Then lift, pull, flop. it began to move forward. And soon its edges began to wear off. Lift, pull, flop. Lift, pull, flop. Lift, pull, flop. Lift, pull, flop. And its shape began to change. And then it was bumping instead of flopping. And then it was bouncing instead of bumping. And then it was rolling instead of bouncing. And it didn't know where, and it didn't care. It was rolling. It rolled and rolled and rolled. The end. Sit. 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 Sit.
Ain't got nothing.
Sit.
Ain't got
First, I went for my words. The I can'ts, I won'ts, I am not good enoughs. I lined them up and shot them dead. Then I went for my thoughts, invisible and everywhere. There was no time to gather them one by one. I had to wash them out. I wove a linen cloth out of my hair, soaked it in a bowl of mint and lemon water, carried it in my mouth as I climbed up my braid to the back of my head. Down on my knees, I began to wipe my mind clean. It took 21 days, my knees bruised, but I did not care. I was not given the breath in my lungs to choke it out. I would scrub the self-hate off the bone till it exposed love. Self-Love by Rupi Kuar.
On space encircled.
A map of smell. Breaths come in pairs, except at 2 times in our lives: the beginning and the end. At birth, we inhale for the first time. At death, we exhale for the last. In between, through all the lather of one's life, each breath passes air over our olfactory sites. Each day, we breathe about 23,040 times and move around 438 cubic feet of air. It takes us about 5 seconds to breathe, 2 seconds to inhale, and 3 seconds to exhale. And in that time, molecules of odor flood through our systems. Inhaling and exhaling, we smell odors. Smells coat us, swirl around us, enter our bodies, emanate from us. We live in a constant wash of them. Still, when we try to describe a smell, words fail us like the fabrications they are. Words are small shapes in the gorgeous chaos of the world. But they are shapes. They bring the world into focus. They corral ideas. They hone thoughts. They paint watercolors of perception. Truman Capote's In Cold Blood chronicles the mischief of two murderers who collaborated on a particularly nasty crime. Criminal psychologists trying to explain the event observed that neither one of them would have been capable of the crime separately, but together they formed a third person, someone who was able to kill. I think of metaphors as more benign but equally potent example of what chemists call hyperglycolic. You can take two substances, put them together, and produce something powerfully different, table salt. Sometimes even explosive, nitroglycerin. The charm of language is that, though it's human-made, it can, on rare occasions, capture emotions and sensations which aren't. But the physiological links between the smell and language centers of the brain are pitifully weak. Not so the links between the smell and the memory centers, a route that carries us nimbly across time and distance. The oceans inside us. Driving through farm country at summer sunset provides a cavacle of smells: manure, cut grass, honeysuckle, spearmint, wheat chaff, scallions, chicory, tar from the road. Stumbling on new smells is one of the delights of travel. Early in our evolution, we didn't travel for pleasure, only for food, and smell was essential. Many forms of sea life must sit and wait for food to brush up against them or stray within their tentacled grasp. But guided by smell, we became nomads who could go out and search for food, hunt it, even choose what we had a hankering for. In our early, fishier version of humankind, we also used smell to find a mate or detect the arrival of a barracuda. And it was an invaluable tester, allowing us to prevent something poisonous from entering our mouths and the delicate closed system of our bodies. Smell was the first of our senses, and it was so successful that in the time, the small lump of olfactory tissue atop the nerve cord grew into a brain. Our cerebral hemispheres were originally buds from the olfactory stalks. We think because we smelled. Our sense of smell, like so many of our other body functions, is a throwback to that time, early in evolution, when we thrived in the oceans. An odor must first dissolve into a watery solution our mucous membranes can absorb before we can smell it. Scuba diving in the Bahamas some years ago, I became aware of two things for the first time. That we carry the ocean within us. That our veins mirror the tides. As a human woman with ovaries where eggs lie like roe entering the smooth, undulating womb of the ocean from which our ancestors evolved millennia ago, I was so moved my eyes teared underwater, and I mixed my saltiness with the ocean's. Distracted by such thoughts, I looked around to find my position vis-a-vis the boat, and I couldn't. But it didn't matter. Home was everywhere. Our skin is what stands between us and the world. If you think about it, no other part of us makes contact with something. Not us, but the skin. It imprisons us, but it also gives us individual shape, protects us from invaders, cools us down or heats us up as need be, produces vitamin D, holds in our body fluids. Most amazing, perhaps, is that it can mend itself when necessary, and it is constantly renewing itself. Weighing from 6 to 10 pounds, it's the largest organ of the body and the key organ of sexual attraction. Skin can take a startling variety of shapes. Claws, spines, hooves, feathers, scales, hair. It's waterproof, washable, and elastic. Although it may cascade or roam as we grow older, it lasts surprisingly well. For most cultures, it's the ideal canvas to decorate with paints, tattoos, and jewelry. But most of all, it harbors the sense of touch. The fingertips and the tongue are much more sensitive than the back. Some parts of the body are ticklish, and others respond when we itch, shiver, or get goose flesh. The hairiest parts of the body are generally the most sensitive to pressure because there are many sense receptors at the base of each hair. In animals, from mice to lions, the whiskers around the mouth are extraordinarily sensitive. Our body hairs are sensitive too, but to a lesser degree. The skin is also thinnest where there's hair. Feeling doesn't take place in the topmost layer of skin, but in the second layer. The top layer of skin is dead, sloughs off easily, and contributes to that ring around the bathtub. This is why safecrackers are sometimes shown sandpapering their fingertips, making the top layer of skin thinner so that the touch receptors will be closer to the surface. A carpenter looking for rough patches may run a thumb over a plank of wood he's just planed. A cook may roll a bit of dough between a thumb and forefinger to test its consistency. Without having to look at the spot, we know at once where we cut ourselves shaving, or where a stocking is starting to run. It's entirely possible to feel wet, even though we may not be wet when washing dishes with gloves on, say, which suggests the complex sensations that constitute touch. The reason it's easier to get our feet wet first when we brave an icy ocean is that there aren't as many cold receptors in the feet as there are on, for example, the tip of the nose. In the Middle Ages, so-called witches and others who lived on the outskirts of the law, piety, or convention were burned at the stake, mimicking the fire and brimstone of hell. It was the ultimate horror. Death would happen cell by cell, receptor by receptor. Each of life's minute sensations would be torched. Today, people who have somehow survived accidental burning come to the burn units of metropolis hospitals to be redressed. If their burns are too deep for the body to repair by itself, they receive temporary coverings until doctors can begin grafting skin from other body parts. Our skin makes up about 16% of our body weight. It stretches 2 square yards. But if too much of the body is burned, there isn't enough skin to graft. The code senders. It takes a troop of receptors to make the symphonic delicacy we call a caress. Between the epidermis and the dermis lie tiny egg-shaped miser's corpuscles, which are nerves enclosed in capsules. They seem to specialize in hairless parts of the body, the soles of the feet, fingertips, which have 9,000 per square inch, clitoris, penis, nipples, palms, and tongue, the erogenous zones, and other ultra-sensitive ports of call. And they respond fast to the lightest stimulation. Inside a Meissner corpuscle, like the many filaments inside of a light bulb, branching, looping nerve endings lie parallel to the surface of the skin and pick up a wealth of sensation. Their parallel arrangement may make them especially sensitive to something touching them at a perpendicular angle. Furthermore, they are extremely specific because each area of the corpuscle can respond independently. As one researcher describes it, it's as though the receptor were composed of separate coils like an inner spring mattress. One can be depressed without disturbing the others. What they record is low-frequency vibrations. The feeling of a finger stroking a beautifully woven sari, for example, or the soft, angled skin inside another's elbow. The Pacinian corpuscles respond very quickly to changes in pressure, and they tend to lie near joints, in some deep tissues, and in the genitals and mammary glands. Thick, onion-shaped sensors, they tell the brain what is pressing and also about the movement of joints or how the organs may be shifting their position when we move. It doesn't take much pressure to make them respond fast and rush messages to the brain. But they're also adept with vibrating or varying sensations, especially high-frequency ones. A violin string, for instance. Indeed, it may be the onion-like layers of the corpuscles that decipher differing vibrations so well. When the Pacinian corpuscles do is convert mechanical energy into electrical energy, as Bernhard Katz of University College London showed in 1950 in electrical experiments with muscles. Subsequent research has led to a better understanding of this process, as Donald Carr describes in The Forgotten Senses. Neurologists now believe that one can picture the touch receptor as a membrane in which there are a number of tiny holes, or at least potential holes, like a piece of Swiss cheese covered with cellophane. In a resting state, the holes are too small or the cellophane too thick for certain ions to pass through. Mechanical deformation opens these holes. When currents are formed by a strong pressure, such as a pinprick, the currents are strong enough to trigger nerve impulses, and the intensity of the prick is signaled by the frequency of the impulses, since this is the only way nerve fibers can code intensity. Our menagerie of touch receptors also includes saucer-shaped Merkel's discs, which lie just below the skin surface and respond to continuous, constant pressure. They give a sustained message, a continuous monitoring. Various free nerve endings which aren't enclosed in capsules and respond more slowly to touch and pressure. Ruffini endings located deep below the skin surface, which register constant pressure, temperature sensors, cylindrical heat sensors, and the most familiar but oddest touch receptor of all, hair.
You've been listening to Dreamcats Radio. You've been listening to Dreamcats Radio. Every Sunday night from 10 p.m. till at least midnight on KFGM, Frenchtown, Missoula, the Bitterroot, and streaming around the world. Streaming around the world at MissoulaCommunityRadio.org. I'm joined in the studio by DJ VK Wonders. It's been so great hanging out tonight.
It has been my pleasure. What a treat.
I feel honored. And yeah, I'm I'm looking forward to listening to what we made because I was really focusing on making the soundscapes while you were reading.
Oh yeah, I
So
can't wait to
I was
listen to
only halfway taking it in, you know.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I'm always excited to listen to it
Yeah.
because you get so into your piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've had a couple months here in Missoula, 2, 3 or something.
Between 2 and 3. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's-
about close to 3.
Okay. Well, it doesn't feel long enough.
I know.
The rumor is that you're going to be leaving us for a while.
For a short while.
Yeah.
A brief interlude.
Yeah. What is time? You know. there. Since you're coming back, then it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Because we're just we experience. You know, we'll just live our lives, and then you'll come back, and then we'll all be together again.
And then we get to meet one another all over.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll be totally different people by then.
Totally different.
I could be, you might not even like me anymore.
That's impossible. That's
Who knows?
just impossible.
I could really turn over a new leaf.
That'd be a pretty drastic
Yeah.
turn of events.
I don't know. I'm just saying, you know, wherever it's going to be okay. There's an abundance of time and everything.
Yeah.
But also, any moment that you have is like the last time that's ever going to happen.
That's true. That's
So,
true. Could be the last.
You got to really enjoy it.
You got to savor.
This is the last time that we'll be here in the studio on June 23rd, 2024.
One time only.
Yeah. Everything that you ever do is only one time.
It's pretty
Gosh,
crazy,
that's
right?
overwhelming. I don't know if I can handle the pressure.
I kind of like to think of it as like, well, it takes the pressure off. But instead of thinking of it as being like, oh, this is a lot of pressure on this moment, it's like, well, it's going to be done and gone
That's
so
how.
fast.
I guess that's how it works.
Yeah.
I guess for me, the older I get, the more I think about these things, and
I
the
feel
more-
that too.
Yeah.
I feel like the older I get, there's more moments where I feel like a crunch of a timeline.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
in a way that doesn't always
brutal.
doesn't feel great, and it takes a lot of practice, or it takes a lot of energy to just like get back to right where I'm at, if that makes sense.
It does. It's hard to just get to that place of calm and just being in the moment,
Yeah.
not future casting
Yeah.
all the
Get
time.
out of your head.
Yeah. It's pretty wild.
It is.
But yeah, a couple months, that's nothing.
That's nothing. It's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah. How do you feel about time seeming to go faster the older you get?
Oh, I think that's very real. I think it's not seeming. I think it gets faster.
Yeah. Oh, it just actually gets
I
faster.
think it gets faster
like
for you. Like
the world's spinning a little faster.
Well, I have my grandparents are still kicking, or still on the green side of the grass, waking up on the
Wow.
green side of
Okay.
the grass, as my
So
grandpa says.
They don't have a house.
And they're
they're sleeping on the grass.
They're getting up there in ages, so they're in their ninth decade on this planet.
Whoa!
Yeah.
And they're still kicking.
And they're still kicking. And so talking to them, time moves at a totally different rate. Like it's, they don't know. They're like, what? We just had Christmas.
Yeah.
But they're really thinking of 2 Christmases ago or something like
Yeah.
that. And time moves at a totally different rate. So I think it really does. And you have those moments where they seem to just fly by. But I think when you can practice coming back to the present and savoring where you're at. Or we were reading some excerpts from a book earlier called A Natural History of the Senses, and it's talking about all the senses. And I think when you connect with your senses and really be present with them, it helps slow time down.
Yeah, that's true.
It stretches out those moments a little bit.
Yeah, when you try to intentionally notice the sensations that you so often kind of just don't notice, just kind of let them go by.
Like the feel of the warm breeze, or the sunset was so beautiful tonight.
Oh,
just
man.
really taking it all in.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to look at the clouds.
Yeah.
You know,
We
that
get
helps
good-
me.
we get some
helps
good
me
clouds
slow
here.
down.
Yeah.
Look at the moon.
The moon.
I just look at it and ask how I'm doing.
How you doing?
I feel like the moon judges me.
Like it's the way you check in with yourself. You're like,
Yeah.
all right.
I look at it and it's like, I don't know about what you've been doing down there, Sean. It feels kind of judgmental, but in a loving,
In an
motherly
encouraging way.
Yeah. It's like, well, it could be doing better, but
This time next
Yes.
month. Next
Yeah.
time I'm full. I better.
yeah,
hope
better
I,
be. Yeah,
hope I see you making some changes.
exactly. But I don't mind. It's tough love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's the author of that book?
Of the natural, it's a natural history of the senses by Diane Ackerman, and it's a national bestseller for anybody who's interested.
That was really
It's a good
really
one.
nice.
It's a good one.
And the Rupi, how do you say?
Rupi Kuar.
Rupi Kuar poetry was great.
Yeah. The Sun and Her Flowers.
Some Shel Silverstein.
Yeah. It's great. Great spread.
What a set.
What a set. What a spread. Yeah, I really like that Silverstein. The missing piece meets the big O.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
good. I feel like there's a lot of. It's a good one to revisit from time to time.
It's amazing. His poetry is like so simplistic, but that's what's amazing is you can distill these really big concepts and commentary into very simple form.
Yeah, distill it down.
Yeah, that's always
Yeah, it's
impressive.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
It's one of those things I feel it's like always so much harder to do than initially you think.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and making it not sound like something that's too cliche or been done
Yeah.
before. That's what I
Yeah.
think about when I'm writing lyrics and poetry.
Is that challenging? Do you get in your head sometimes around that where you get in like this is too cliche, or is it pretty easy to get in that space for you?
I feel like lately I've been getting better at just like my melodies can sound very simple and cliche, or the lyrics can be very basic, but it's okay. And I can almost use that as a tool in contrast with something really weird and out there, and then that can kind of become its own aesthetic.
It creates a whole new experience.
Yeah, because I think it would be silly to try to tell yourself that you're gonna create something that's never been done before.
Yeah.
That's totally unique.
Oh yeah, I think when you start to focus on that, then it's really easy to get paralyzed because it becomes far too easy to just say, oh well, that's it's nothing new. Why bother?
Yeah.
But it is new because you're doing it.
Yeah, it's just by the nature of things, whatever that you're creating.
Yeah, it's never been done by you before.
Yeah, and it could have elements of other people's songs or other people's words, but it's still gonna be unique in its own way.
Yeah.
And if you're in your head and like shutting down the creative process because you're afraid of repeating someone else, then you're not like letting the song take its natural course.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I agree with that.
yeah, you don't. I think this could be with painting or visual mediums too. Just not. You don't want to be afraid to just like get started and just
Yeah, I notice especially because we have so much access to all these creators out there, musicians or visual artists or other.
staggering.
So much that it's like can be really inspiring, but it can also really fuel if your perspective is in that mindset of like, oh no, this has already been
Comparison.
done. Yeah, comparison, and not letting yourself play and have fun with it and experience it and enjoy that process for yourself.
Yeah.
And I think, we talk about, not wanting things to be cliche or get kind of like, cringy because this is done so much. But I think there's a reason there's so many themes that show up again and again and again. It's because the human part of us that connects with that like shared experience that's kind of being represented in some ways really powerful. It just like comes through again and again and again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's, and I always try to just get out of my own way, out of my head when I'm trying to write or create. And just, there is like a force in there where you can feel like the song itself is kind of happening through you.
Yeah.
But
Same with I notice like sketching, where I'm sketching a lot.
yeah.
Like I'm working on a piece now, and I have to finish it. I have a timeline on it. which is sometimes really helpful.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's
totally.
stressful, but sometimes helpful. And I was working on it today, and I hadn't really, actually started it by putting pencil to paper.
Yeah.
But I started it a while ago, but it's percolating. It's like there's this, let me think about it, research stuff, or just really get into the space. But then once I start the actual physical act of drawing, that creative process, it just kind of flows.
Yeah.
It seems to kind of create itself, and it just makes sense.
Yeah. I get intimidated and not want to take that leap because I know that once I start it, then it's just I'm just gonna have to follow it wherever it goes.
Oh yeah, there's no stopping.
Yeah.
Then you're on a freight train.
But yeah, so then I don't even want to do it sometimes because I'm like, I don't know. It's like, do I have time to be creative right now? I really should be doing the dishes and working out and,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Oh, I know that feeling well. I know
But-
that feeling well.
That's fine.
It's fine.
I think we're really lucky to be alive.
Oh yeah.
You
I
think so?
I think so too.
Woo!
I think we're really lucky to be alive. I think it's like a pretty wild thing to exist
It's,
in a human body
man.
on this, living spaceship.
Yeah. We should probably just keep doing it as long as we can.
Yeah, I think I didn't get a memo or anything, but I think that's kind of the plan.
What drives you to keep living?
Oh, that's such a simple question, Dr. Fly.
Yeah, easy.
Easy peasy. What drives me to keep living? I really enjoy. I'm a very curious being, and I really enjoy the process of discovery and learning. And so I think it's just that if there's an opportunity to keep exploring and learning more about myself and the world and, finding new edges, I want to know. I want to know as much as I can. And
Yeah.
that comes through living it, experiencing it.
Oh, man. I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
Just the curiosity.
Yeah. Really curious.
Even when things aren't going good, there's always I'm always, every day feels like a cliffhanger. Like, what is going to happen now? Like when all this, even when horrible things have happened,
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness, what
Yeah.
this, like the writers of this show they're crazy.
I think about it that way too. I in those times especially, I think like, oh boy, like when I like to think about the story of my life. So like my life's narrative. Like, all right, I don't know how this book is gonna end or how long it is, but oh boy, that was a doozy of a chapter.
I think
Let's see where we go from here.
I think we have to frame it that way, kind of,
Yeah.
to reckon with it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I'm always really curious, and I kind of almost in a good way. I'll have like amnesia, kind of, or like like I don't get really jaded to things, and in a way, like every morning when I have that cup of coffee, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is the best thing I've ever drank. I can't believe it.
Can't believe I can't believe bean water
Yeah.
has this kind of flavor.
Wow. I'm sure it helps because I'm, chemically dependent on it, especially things that I'm addicted to. Like every time I do it, I'm like, oh man, this is great.
Do you ever think about, I read this book a little while back, a Michael Pollan book, and it was about the botany of desire. And it was talking about, from the perspective of plants, basically, instead of, us like, oh, we pick coffee beans because we like them and we like the way they flavor. Of this idea of the coffee bean really using us to be like a prolific plant on the planet.
We're like the
we'll
honey.
get them addicted to us. Then we'll slowly take over the planet
Whoa.
by using these human receptors for caffeine and the stimulation it brings.
I guess I wonder if that is really the the evolutionary advantage of the coffee bean having the properties that it does.
Yeah, it was just, I like the perspective of it. Instead of thinking of us as, the top dog always in control of it, more of like this mutual relationship where we need each other and we're dependent on one another.
Yeah, I think humans really get caught up in the illusion of being superior, having some form of control.
Yeah, it's one of our pitfalls of...
Yeah, we definitely turned out a
brains.
lot different than basically all the other species.
Yeah.
For some reason. But not in a way that makes us any better.
No, just in just our own unique little creatures.
Yeah, we're weird.
We are weird. I love it.
Yeah, I guess it's almost like the relationship of the honeybee and a flower. Like the flowers get pollinated by the bee.
Yeah.
But the bee is down for that nectar.
Yeah, it's down for that nectar. Everything about the flower. They're like, oh, you're gonna be into us. These colors,
Oof.
They really do it for you.
Yeah, that's true. It works on humans too.
Yeah, works on humans.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Well, I just have a couple important questions I wanted to ask you before.
Okay.
I know it's late. Okay. So, do you hit the snooze button a lot when you wake up? Did I ask you this the first interview?
You have not, but
Okay.
I
asked
ever
this
since that
question a lot.
first interview, I thought these might be coming someday.
Yeah.
Do I hit the snooze button a lot? I think I need to know what your definition of a lot is.
Well,
like at all.
I shouldn't have worded that way. What's your relationship with the snooze button?
I do hit the snooze button. Lately I've been really fortunate in that I have not needed to use an alarm at all.
Yeah.
And so I've had the luxury more recently in my life, and also just a choice, like making the choice to, when possible, not force myself to wake up at a certain time and just let myself wake up when I have the rest I need. And it's kind of nice to check in with just like my circadian rhythm, see what's going on there. And that's been great, let me tell you.
I mean, this whole snooze conversation sucks compared to just what if you could just live your life?
Just living my life. But when I do, on the occasions that I have had to set an alarm, I'm a snoozer. Yeah, I'm a snoozer. I appreciate some sleep. I also, as a kid and into adulthood to a certain degree, there's like a stretch of time where I just didn't remember my dreams very much. But as a kid, my mom would come and wake me up, or knock on the door and say, "Oh, it's time to get up." And she was really generous and regularly letting me snooze. It's like, okay, give me 5 more minutes. So I think I had my mom set me up for being a snoozer. Good. But I would go, I'd be having a dream, and I would tell her from my bed when my eyes were still closed in that in between sleep and wake state, and I'd just say, "Mom, can I get like 5 more minutes? I want to finish my dream."
Aww.
And she'd let me, and I'd slip back into my dream, and I'd finish my dream, and then I'd get, then I'd be ready to go. So I'm a snoozer, but usually it's just like 1 or 2 times. There was a period in the teenage years where it would be prolific.
Like, big snooze.
Big snooze. Like
absurd
levels of snoozing.
I mean, I support it.
More likely these days you'll find me not snoozing, but setting a couple different alarms.
Yes, I've observed this technique in other humans.
Yeah. So
the multiple alarm system.
Yeah. And it's always key. Like, I need my chime, my alarm sound to be very pleasant.
Same.
Or I get grouchy, and I don't need that. I don't need that in my life that early in the morning.
Do you wake up to the same one each day?
Yeah. Yeah, it's pleasant.
What is it, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh man, I'm not gonna remember off the top of my head. I haven't been using it recently. It's not a song. It's just one of the standard tones, but it's very melodic, very inviting.
Gotcha.
Let me pull it up here.
If it's not too much trouble.
If it's not too much trouble. Let's get it. Let's see. It's spring, so it is, let's see, the spring sound.
That's a banger.
It's pretty relaxing.
That's a good
pretty
one.
Calming. Also, probably why I need multiple alarms, because it doesn't
nice.
really inspire quick movement and activation.
That's here, let's I'm gonna try to pull up the one that I've been waking up to. It was an accident.
An accidental alarm selection.
I don't know how I set my alarm to this. But I just, the first couple of chords, let's see here. I wonder if it'll play. But it's you know that band Jupiter Beat?
Oh yeah. You
attended their show, I believe.
I did.
Before we met, there was
a beautiful sunset
Oh,
that night
Tom,
too.
yeah.
Free Cycles.
and our good friend Ludmila is singing that.
Gorgeous voice.
But I was filling in on drums for their final few shows before they're on this break, and so I got all these demo recordings. So I don't know if they would even want me to play this on the radio, but I'm punk rock. Wait, let's see here. Oh wait,
wow,
I have to
just
do a little
love
more.
that this ended up being
just
an accidental alarm selection. Is a demo of a Jupiter. What?
Yeah, and the first couple guitar chiming notes are really pleasant, but then it gets into this funky song.
So was this one that you learned that you selected it when the alarm went off one day?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I don't know how I set it to this, but
Okay.
but I've kept it, and it's been over a year, I think. Let's see here.
See if it'll go.
Pretty good, right?
Yeah, I'd wake up to that.
One chat's a clever tactician and he'll show it. I'm Pops, the other's punchy left brain poet. Dancing free of shelter in the great darkened brain. Two chats are too many for my pea-sized brain. Two chats are too many for his pea-sized brain.
Wow.
I love that song so much.
That's great. Do you ever find yourself just letting it roll?
Well,
Because you just want to hear the song?
I usually grab that snooze button right away.
Okay, good. Yeah. User too. I knew it.
On the day, I mean, sometimes if I don't have to wake up, then I usually just let myself catch up on the old rest. Yeah. But the days that I do have to be somewhere, if I have to be somewhere at 9, it's probably set for 8:20. And then I hit the snooze probably 3 times. Puts that at 8:35. 7-minute shower. Hopefully grab a cup of coffee. Just in time to be 5 minutes late to work.
Wait. How long is your snooze period? How long
it's
is
a 5, only a 5.
Yours is only 5. Okay.
I've been thinking about setting it longer, but
okay.
The 5 is pretty.
I feel like the 5 is good.
That's good. It's kind of silly because there's just a ridiculous amount of time to keep resting.
You know what I like to do though, because I do the multiple alarm things, and sometimes I will, on occasion, snooze and have the multiple. I'll do one, go off a snooze. I'll turn it off the next time. The second alarm will go off. I'll snooze. But I set the snooze periods to different times just to throw me off.
Yeah, just to keep you confused.
Keep it confusing. Yeah.
Nice. Well, it's just been it's been a real pleasure. I hate goodbyes. But this isn't goodbye.
Let's just see you later.
It's just until next time.
Until next time.
Would you mind just giving? I'm gonna pass you this microphone and just giving our audience just one final message. Sure. I know you're very on the spot.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
But this is how we do it here at Dreamcats.
All right. Here's a part of my final message is I want to just read this poem again from Rupi Kuar. And just to preface this, something I love about coming back to Missoula is the community here. Or like the best thing is just the people. The community here, it feels good to be here. It's really good community. So that being said, here we go. When the world comes crashing at your feet, it's okay to let others help pick up the pieces. If we're present to take part in your happiness when your circumstances are great, we are more than capable of sharing your pain. Community. Remember the body of your community. Breathe in the people who sewed you whole. It is you who became yourself, but those before you are a part of your fabric. Honor the roots. Till next time.